Yep.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Scenic and Historic Preservation Commission meeting dated December 28th at 4 p.m. My name is Robert Clark. Would the other members of the committee please state your names of participants?
I am Marnie Williams.
Bill Sabara.
Hi. Victoria Arcuri.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Our first case is case number 25-20. It is 2306 Genesee Street. The applicant is Thomas Draws. The applicant is proposing to construct a new driveway on the side of the property to extend from to the rear of the property with parallel parking on each side of the proposed driveway. There will be a total of 5 new parking spaces along the newly proposed driveway. The asphalt driveway will be 16 feet wide in the front of the property and will taper 12 feet wide with an 8-foot wide parallel parking spaces along the length of the driveway. The applicant has proposed a hedgerow along the north side of the driveway. New concrete steps will also be installed on the side of the building to accommodate an entrance off of the driveway. Would the applicant at this time wish to elaborate on the project, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Don Ayer. I'm the engineer that drew up the plans. I believe you stated it very succinctly. This is a proposed driveway to be able to access the parking lot in the rear of the property. My client, Mr. Droz, who is on the one of the telephone lines, hired us to do this because they're in the process of selling the existing building. It's currently operated as Coldwell Banker Faith Property Real Estate. And as clients have come to them, they have been concerned about access to the parking lot in the rear. There have been statements, which I can't verify, but Mr. Droz perhaps can. This property was at one time owned by the church, was sold to Mr. Droz's parents, and developed into this real estate business property. And everything was fine, but once the property went up for sale, the church, in some fashion, has indicated that they would no longer allow access to the parking spaces in the rear of the property, the northerly side of the property, through their parking lot. So it became necessary to find a way to get a reasonable driveway to the rear of the property, and that's what we have proposed here. The 5 parking spaces along the proposed driveway, as well as the 5 parking spaces in the rear of the building, plus 2 parking spaces that are actually inside an existing garage area in the lower level of the building. The existing Coldwell Banker sign would have to be moved over approximately 8 feet because one corner of the sign would fall into the driveway as it currently is aligned. As stated, the proposal is to put a hedge along the side of the parking spaces on the west side of the parking spaces to provide a visual buffer between the parked cars and the church school property further to the west. We had a traffic study analysis done to ensure the safety to pedestrians and the traveling public on Genesee Street, which was provided, a copy of which was provided in the packet, which was sent in to the city for this meeting. and Mr. Stansbury, the traffic engineer who performed the work and the studies, is also on the line if there are any questions in that direction. So it would be an asphalt paved driveway. None of the building itself would be touched or modified in any way, if you want to say, with the exception of the 2 additional steps leading out of the westerly entrance to bring that down to the grade of the proposed parking lot. If you have any questions, I will answer anything with regard to the site. Mr. Stansbury will answer any questions you might have about traffic. And if there's something specific with respect to the property or the needs to this driveway, as they say, Mr. Droz is there on the line and can answer those questions directly. Any questions, any additional information you'd like?
Brian, can you go back to the schematic picture?
Sure.
What's happening with the existing, it looks like there's some large trees on the site. Are those being removed?
I can't understand whoever that was.
That's
what they
Bill.
said.
What's happening with the large trees that are, that exist on the site?
According to the mapping done by the surveyor, there is 1 tree towards the rear of the building that would be removed. The other trees, the spruce in the front and the maple trees further to there's 2 maple trees. They're on the church property. The tree, the 24-inch spruce to the east of the driveway would remain, and the tree, the 14-inch red oak that you can see in the photo front view that you have up now, that would also remain. There'd only be 1 tree, 1 existing tree that would be taken down. That's the 16-inch maple towards the rear. Brian, you probably can see that if you look at the photo looking at that side. Yeah, it's right in the back up. It's actually tight. Well, the branches are tight to the building.
So essentially, none of the trees on Genesee Street are going to be removed.
No.
Has this been to the code office yet?
I'm sorry.
Has codes reviewed this yet? Zoning? Brian, do you know?
It has not been reviewed by the codes department. The applicant did submit this to the zoning board for review. However, the zoning board's review was strictly focused on the applicant's request to reduce the minimum parking requirements to make the property more marketable for a variety of uses since they did put the property on the market. Since the applicant did not cite a specific use for this property at the time of application, the zoning board, I believe, denied the application, and the applicant can certainly, when he does have a more definitive use for the property, can go back to the zoning board to reduce those minimum requirements.
Well stated, Brian. Thank you.
What is the proposed hedgerow?
The proposed hedgerow would be a minimum of 3 feet high and would be of an evergreen style. We haven't chosen the specific type, but it would be something that would be green year round. And arbor vitae is one possibility. Boxwood is another. And perhaps you, the board, have a specific type of bush that you would like to see that you think is more used within this corridor of Genesee Street?
No, I think,
I should say that while
I have-
code, this is Brian again. I should say that while codes did not review it, the plan was shared with UPD, and I believe I shared a copy of an email back to me from Deputy Chief Noonan at UPD, expressing concerns with the addition of a new driveway in such proximity to the signalized intersection of Proctor and Genesee, as well as Barton and Genesee.
Yes, it was also shared with the engineering department, Mr. Santa Croce. And as part of the package we sent back with this, we addressed all the concerns that had previously been expressed by Mr. Santa Croce.
I also have a question regarding the hedge. Is there going to be any fencing involved with the hedge?
No, we're not planning on any, no.
Okay, all right.
So Brian, the picture we're looking at right now, the little circles are the proposed hedge. Right side there, next to the shaded area. Is that accurate?
Yes, and it angles over towards the driveway.
Yep. And the shaded driveway there is the one that will be installed. It does not exist at the moment, right?
Correct.
Okay. So this is for Coldwell Banker? They're
It's-
used as a tenant? Are they a
Well,
tenant?
they're currently the tenant.
Okay.
However, I believe they've relocated south,
Okay.
closer to New Hartford, correct?
I think so.
And the stoplight is kind of where I think that's the church entrance, isn't it? To the right of
Well, actually, it's the church exit, yes.
or church exit, and that's where the light is.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's probably one right where that mouse is right now.
Mhm.
Yes, that's pretty much directly opposite Proctor.
This is Gordon Stansberry. Just want to note that the proposed driveway is completely behind the eastbound stop bar on Genesee Street. So the proposed driveway does not encroach into the intersection.
And the present driveway is to the left, correct? It's like a 1 or 2 spot mini driveway, right? Right there where that mouse is.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep. So would that stay or would that get taken out?
Our proposal is to, since it's existing, is to let it continue there.
It just seems like a lot of pavement to me, but that's just me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Don, maybe you could address why you would need a second driveway if you already have that driveway that could be extended to the back?
Well, the driveway at this point, it doesn't go anywhere. It's essentially used as a single parking space, sometimes used as 2 parking spaces, which means that whoever gets there first could lose on getting out. And as such, it provides a potential parking space for a vehicle. At the present time, there is a double concrete strip that extends towards the back of the building from there. But with the fireplace that you see in that picture interrupting it and the narrowness of it, there's no plans to continue that driveway to the rear.
Brian, do you have a picture of the back of the house?
That's the side. Yeah, there it
So
is.
so the proposed driveway, you're going all the way to the end so you can go around into the garage? Is the driveway going to connect to the parking lot there?
Yes. Essentially, the picture you're seeing now would enter just in front of, if you look at it the way it is, in front of that white car.
Is that part
Okay.
of the building that we're looking at right now, or is that another building?
That's the rear of the Coldwell Banker building.
Where
And
do
you can
these
see the
cars,
garage underneath.
yeah,
It's underneath. There's two
where do-
spaces.
where do these cars exit to right now?
They go through the church's parking lot.
Do they have an easement?
There is no recorded easement. There was a right apparently verbally granted when the house was originally purchased by Mr. Drose's parents for use as this structure. But word that I've been told from Mr. Drose is that with the sale of the building, the church has basically stated, my agreement was with you, not with anybody else. You have to, it's basically saying you have to find another way in and out. And that's what we're attempting to do.
So basically, your garage, they're not going to allow you to access that possibly?
At the present time, the Catholic Church's position has been that they would cut off access to this back parking lot, so we wouldn't be able to get to the garage or the existing parking spaces.
Why would they want to do that?
Well,
I'm
it's been
sorry to
indicated.
ask the question.
Well, it's been indicated to me, and I can't swear to it. This is, if you want to say hearsay to me, is that they basically, I think, had asked the current owner to give them the building.
And the current owner said
Really?
no.
But
And the current owner would like,
their parents bought that building from the church, correct?
correct.
Now they went back.
Huh.
I mean, it's just me, my vote, but I would rather go through the alley to the back than go on that side of the
From the front?
Yeah, I'd rather just continue with the driveway and get it to the back.
Is that a possibility? Is that a consideration?
I mean, there's a
It's
lot of
not
houses, on Genesee Street that do that. But sorry, go ahead.
That's a tough corner. That's a tough corner. There could be confusion with another, more cars coming into that intersection there with the lights, with all the corners there, because they're all like jig. I don't know the word I want to use, but like they're jagged and nothing lines up, right? So I think that Rob's idea of the back might actually be a safer solution to the problem of being landlocked, so to speak.
Well, the concern would be is among other things, visibility along the driveway. The width of that driveway, that maximum could only be 8 feet wide. Somebody comes around the corner of the building and wants to exit, and there's another guy coming down the driveway, they're not going to see each other until that they reach that corner. And whereas
Yeah.
if we go to this other side, there's plenty of visibility for two-way traffic. I mean, two-way on a 12-foot wide driveway is allowable, is reasonable. Two-way on an 8-foot driveway is a recipe for disaster. The city
Yeah.
engineer also was concerned that if the neighbor put a fence up along the property line, that would squeeze that not necessarily any less than 8 feet, but now any overhanging mirrors on cars and trucks could be endangered, plus snow removal would be difficult. You can't push it to the side. You basically have to push it straight ahead. It's a worse condition for accessing the building. I mean, we're not necessarily looking for high traffic volumes, but we are looking at times when one vehicle could be exiting, another vehicle could be entering, and with essentially zero sight distance around that corner, I think it's a recipe for disaster.
Well,
And
right,
Gordon, you can speak further. He's the traffic engineer.
the building right now is what, light office use? Is that what it's zoned as?
I believe it's zoned office,
Professional
professional.
Right, okay.
office, yeah.
Yeah, this is Gordon. I would like to just touch on the traffic concerns with the proximity to the signal. The proposed driveway is 55 feet center line to center line between the proposed driveway and the church exit only driveway. Given that there are no turning lanes on Genesee Street, we went out and we observed traffic operations throughout the course of a day, through the morning, midday, and evening peak periods, and really didn't find any concerns with proximity to the signal. Given that it's behind the stop bar, there shouldn't be any confusion associated with turning at the light versus turning at the driveway, especially given that the church driveway is supposed to be an exit only. There shouldn't be anybody turning left into that driveway. The church driveway is located directly across from Proctor, so it operates as a pretty clean four-way intersection. There's good sight lines from where the proposed driveway is located. We didn't find any concerns with this proposal.
I mean, or we could theoretically, I'm not saying we would have to do this, we could make it a right turn exit only. But, I don't know that that's really our committee's main concern. Ours is tasked with making sure that it fits into the historic nature of the neighborhood. The one thing assuming that we went along with this, I just wouldn't be keen on leaving the existing driveway. I'd want that dug up and made like it wasn't ever there. But that's just me. I don't know what Phil and Marnie and.
I agree with that. Plus, I mean, I don't know, from a zoning standpoint, and I don't know, has zoning reviewed this yet? They may have some concerns with the amount of, impervious material and whatnot on the site as well. So, but again, that's not for us necessarily. We're more concerned with aesthetics and the historic nature of the property. But I agree with you. I think just from a confusion standpoint and aesthetically, I think it would look better to just get rid of that existing driveway if the other driveway is approved.
Yeah. So the existing driveway, you said you can go in and out, two lane traffic it looks like, is that? And then you have the parking spaces on the side of it?
Right, you
Is
said the
that,
existing driveway.
or
Oh,
not the existing, the new one, the
yes,
proposed? So it's almost like 3 lanes of traffic where the parking spots are technically? Or no? Or am I just looking at it?
No,
No.
the driveway is still 12 feet wide along the
Okay.
building, so it is still a one lane. It's just given a little bit more width than the 8 foot, gives you space to be able to open a door without, being against the building.
Okay.
So it's really one lane with parking beside it.
Okay.
To give an idea, we reviewed driveways along this section, this block of Genesee Street. The driveways range between 9 to 12 feet. So it would be consistent with the driveways that are on the roadway today.
Okay.
And I didn't hear the answer to whether or not you considered, or if it was considered, rear access to the parking lot or the parking area. Was that considered?
Well, you mentioned that the church has an easement, but they're going to discontinue the easement. Did you hear that part or no?
Yes, I think I heard that part.
Okay.
Yeah. So that they oppose.
That's what it sounded.
The church basically has stated that with the change of ownership, any rights we had to going through the existing parking lot to get to this parking lot would be null. Any agreement to that would be null and void.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not sure that that's a valid case to make. They can't just pull an easement that's been sitting there for 20 years.
Oh, it's been there longer than 20 years, Rob.
Hi, everyone. This is Kate. Easements are kind of a specific thing. Rights of way are a different thing. Out of curiosity, though, has Mr. Droz spoken with his attorney about any remedies he might have as far as ingress and egress goes?
To the best of my knowledge and belief, I believe he has.
Okay.
And he was directed to look for something of this nature.
Oh.
As I say, there was no written or formal easement. It was essentially, if you want to call it a handshake, I guess, if you want to term it that way. And at this point, with the building in the process of being sold, and to a buyer in the future, the statement was made somewhere along the line that that right of ingress egress would go away.
Well,
Does anyone have any other questions regarding this?
I don't have any questions. This is Vicky.
I would make a motion that we approve it with the assumption or action of removing the existing driveway and making it grass.
I guess also, has this been approved by zoning yet?
No, I think they said it didn't.
Okay. So, and that would also have to be a stipulation that zoning approves it.
Yeah.
Well, unless we ask for a zone amendment to the parking overall, this does not need to go to zoning. And as I've been informed by Mr. Thomas, we don't have to go to the planning board. This is the board we need to go to, as well as the engineering department. Engineering has looked at it, made their comments, which we've addressed. So this is what we need is from the historic and scenic viewpoint, what this board would want. And right now you're pointing at the direction of allowing this new driveway so long as the existing driveway as a condition of that approval is removed. That's how I understand it.
And
Just to clarify Don's comments, if there was a buyer that was interested in the building and was proposing a use whose minimum parking requirements did not exceed what they are currently providing under this plan that you are considering approval of, they would not have to go back to the zoning board. Zoning board would only be required if a use required more parking than they are currently, than they would be providing. Was there a second to Rob's motion?
I'll second Rob's motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? All those opposed, say aye. Okay, motion passed. With the existing driveway being removed.
With that one driveway being taken out. Yes, understood. On that condition.
Okay.
Thank you.
That takes care of that one.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, I believe that's the only agenda item we had, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, everyone have a nice night. We will adjourn.
Okay, have a happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year.
You too.
Happy